So we are in our final week of classes before we do our diversity project presentations. This is week 13. We're going to be discussing next steps, which is chapter 10 of your textbook. The learning objectives for this week are to identify the purpose for reviewing resumes and choosing people to contact from an employer's perspective and ways to test their career choice, to discuss how most employers in the United States prefer to hire new employees, to explain another option, don't plan your career, how to think like an entrepreneur, why both employers and job applicants struggle with the hiring process, how to create a career plan, what the second scores on the discovery wheel mean, the power process, which is persist, and the purpose of a resume and why to post one online. Also to define hidden job market, entrepreneur, work contact skills, effective career planning, articulation agreements, and course equivalents. Also to list questions all interviewers have, even if they don't ask them, career planning strategies, recommended strategies for getting hired, and suggestions for discovering the hidden job market. And finally, to provide examples of transferable skills and work contact skills. The assignments are to read the chapter. Here is the chapter. To watch the pre-recorded lecture that I am recording now, it'll be found right under the chapter. To complete this quiz, depending on what day you are with me on FSM is the due date. So this is the due date for one of my FSM classes. You may have a different due date. This right here is a link to the actual PowerPoint for this week. And then this is the written assignment for this week. That's due Sunday, August 23rd for all FSM classes. And it asks you to answer the following questions and submit it in the Turnitin link below, and it's worth 100 points. And these are the questions. So let me start with today's lesson, next steps, and I want to go over the first part in the textbook and the last part on the PowerPoint presentation. So first, the textbook introduces the power process like all the other chapters, and this chapter is talking about persist. So most students enter school with the desire to graduate. Ask them what it takes to succeed, and you'll get a lot of great ideas. What students sometimes forget is the power of persistence, doing the gritty and the unglamorous things that really work day after day. This is how habits pay off. For instance, exercising for better health is a great idea, and exercising is bound to fail if you only go to the gym once. Networking is highly recommended for finding a job, and it's pointless if you stop after talking to one person. These are just a couple of examples. The point is that the power of any strategy or habit emerges only when you persist. Research indicates that it takes about 10,000 hours of deliberate practice for athletes, musicians, and other performers to win international competitions. Look into the biographies of master students profiled in this book, and you'll find many examples of deliberate practice, a fancy term for persistence. One such example is Abraham Lincoln, who failed in business in 1831 and 1833. He also was defeated while running for elected seats in 1832, 1838, 1840, 1843, 1855, 1856, and 1858. In 1860, Lincoln was elected President of the United States. More recently, the manuscripts for the Harry Potter books were rejected by multiple editors. Author J.K. Rowling persisted until she eventually found a publisher. She went on to sell 450 million books. In 2006, a young student named Stephanie Germanotta signed a deal with Def Jam Records. In 3 months, the company decided that her style was not a good fit and canceled the contract. After that, Germanotta spent a couple of years playing in small clubs, making little money, and crafting her performance skills. And finally, people noticed. And finally, there was another record label, and her new name for her act was Lady Gaga. The willingness to persist unleashes many qualities of a master student: competence, courage, self-direction, and more. To make this power process work, remember 4 things. First, persistence is not about positive thinking or mental cheerleading. Persistence works better when you tell the truth about your current abilities, accepting who you are, with all your strengths and weaknesses. Make it easier to take step backs and stride, learn from mistakes, and move back into action. Second, persistence is not about blind determination. If a strategy fails to produce the results that you want, then feel free to give it up and choose a new one. Keep your eyes on the prize, your goal, and stay flexible about ways to achieve it. If plan A fizzles out, then you move on to plan B or C. Third, persistence is not about going at it alone. In life, there are no solos. We are social creatures and find strength in community. One key to persistence is finding people who have already achieved what you want. Seek out these people, spend time with them, ask them for guidance. They are living reminders that getting what you want is possible if you persist. And finally, persistence calls on you to give up the constant desire for instant gratification. This can be tough to remember when you see advertisements for drugs that promise quick relief, when we see self help books telling us that we can turn our lives around in just a few weeks, a few days, or even a few hours, when we see movies about people who overcome tremendous obstacles in 90 minutes. Master students harness their critical thinking skills to cut through all the hype. They know that they are in the game for the long haul and there are no quick fixes. They know that getting a degree is like a training for a marathon. They remember that every class attended and every assignment completed is one small win on the way to a big victory. Becoming a master student is about getting what you ultimately want. There's nothing mysterious about the process of doing this. Discover the outcomes that you want to achieve. Make it your intention to do what it takes to produce those outcomes. Then act on your intentions and persist. So, jumpstart your education with transferable skills. So, a few words are widely misunderstood as skill. Defining it carefully can have an immediate and positive impact in your career planning. One dictionary defines skill as the ability to do something well, usually gained by training and experience. Work content skills are acquired through formal schooling, on the job training, or both. For instance, the ability to repair fiber optic cables or do brain surgery is considered a work content skill. However, transferable skills are skills that we develop through experience both inside and outside the classroom. These are abilities that help people thrive in any job, no matter what work context skills they have. You start developing these skills even before you take your first job. Perhaps you've heard someone described this way: she's really smart and knows what she's doing, but she got lousy people skills. People skills such as listening and negotiating are prime examples of transferable skills. So succeed in many situations. Transferable skills are often invisible to us. The problem begins when we assume that a given skill can be used in only one context, such as being in school or working at a particular job. Thinking in this way places an artificial limit on our possibilities. As an alternative, think about the things that you routinely do to succeed in school. Analyze your activities to isolate specific skills. Then brainstorm a list of jobs where you could use these same skills. So consider the task of writing a research paper. This calls for the following skills. You got to plan, you got to manage time, you got to interview if you're interviewing people for your research paper. You have to research, you have to write, and you have to edit. Now consider the kinds of skills, the kind of jobs that draw these skills. So for example, you can transfer your skill of writing papers to a possible career in journalism, technical writing, or advertising copywriting. You can use your editing skills to work in the field of publishing as a magazine or book editor. Interviewing and research skills could help you enter the field of market research, and the abilities to plan, manage time, and meet deadlines will help you succeed in all the jobs mentioned so far. Use the same kind of analysis to think about transferring skills from one job to another. Say that you work part-time as an administrative assistant at a computer dealer that sells a variety of hardware and software. You take phone calls from potential customers, you help current customers solve problems using their computers, you attend meetings where co-workers plan ways to market new products. You are developing skills as selling, serving customers, and working on teams. These skills could help you land a job as a sales representative for a computer manufacturer or software developer. The basic idea is to take cue from the word transferable. Almost any skill you use to succeed in one situation can transfer to success in another situation. The concept of transferable skills creates a powerful link between higher education and the work world. Skills are the core elements of any job. While taking any course lists the specific skills you are developing and how you can transfer them to the work world. Almost everything you do in school can be applied to your career if you consistently pursue this line of thought. So this is just basically saying that the skills that you're learning while you're in school can be used to put maybe in your resume when you're applying for a job. So here when it talks about writing a research paper, you can put all these in your resume and maybe not write the word researching. You would write here, interviewing and research skills could help you enter the field of market research and the abilities to plan, manage time, and meet deadlines. So, because that's part of the things that you do when researching. So the trick is to use the skills that you're using now for school and find ways to use them in the work world, or to highlight them when you're ready to apply for the work world, because these are transferable skills. So focus on the 4 C's. The 4 C's are creative thinking. Companies value people who can create ideas for new products and services and turn those ideas into reality. Then there's critical thinking. People with this skill can state questions precisely, consider a variety of possible answers, and test them for logic and evidence. Critical thinkers excel at making decisions and solving problems. The next one is communication. No matter where you work, you will benefit from excellence at speaking, listening, writing, and reading. This means knowing your purpose for communicating and finding ways to achieve that purpose with a variety of audiences. So, for example, the whole diversity project and the fact that you guys have to present. Right there, that is honing you, like that skill. It's teaching you that skill of speaking. And that you can use that, learning that skill in the work world. So after you've done presentations in classes and after you've spoken and like that in the variety of classes that you're going to take while you're in college, you can write in your skills that public speaking, because you've done public speaking before in 5, 6, 7, 8 different classes, depending on how many classes are requiring you to do some sort of presentation. The last and final C is collaboration. Projects get done by teams. If you can work with a diverse group of people, set goals, and achieve them, you'll have another skill that employers value. So remember, focus on the 4 C's when you think about skills. So think of character as a skill. So character takes other skills and embeds them in a larger context. This is the 5th C that refers to master-student qualities: commitment, flexibility, willingness to learn, caring about people, and more. When employers talk about professional work ethic, they are referring to character. People without character skills perform just up to a minimum requirements without much energy, enthusiasm, or commitment. Their verbal and non-verbal often conveys a single message. Their verbal and non-verbal behavior often conveys a single message: I'd really rather be somewhere else. So things to consider: smile, shake hands, make small talk, be social, build on areas of agreement, help other people get what they want, be a taker, and givers. So takers tend to put competition first. They're likely to say that we live in a dog-eat-dog world. Their primary concern in the workplace are to get promoted and to get plenty of credit for their accomplishment. Givers share ideas, resources, and contacts. They are less likely to give credit as take it. They give energy from mentoring and encouraging others. Over a long term, these qualities help givers succeed and rise to the top levels of their organization. Express appreciation. So these are just different tips. You can go more thoroughly and read about them. As far as character building, So learn to develop new skills. That's kind of self-explanatory. So, define the skill, define the key sub skills. Make time to practice. Make it easy to practice. Practice. So again, this is kind of self-explanatory. Learn to develop new skills. You can read this on your own, but it's always good to develop new skills throughout your entire life. So on to the next topic is taking the road to graduation. So the first thing is discover what your academic goals mean for today. So one key to persistence is knowing exactly what you want from your education. Some students enter higher education with only a vague idea of their goals. These students can find it easy to disengage from school and let other activities take over. This is where the master student process can make the difference between staying in school and dropping out. As you plan your week, write a discovery statement to complete these sentences. What I most want from school is, what I also want is, and to get what I want from school, the main goals for me to achieve this term are. This writing will give you the big picture of your priorities. Now zoom in for a close-up view. Create intention statements by completing the following sentence at least once each month. To achieve my main goal for this term, the things that I intend to accomplish this month are, and to meet my goals this month, the things I intend to do this week are. Your answers to the last sentence will be tasks that you can add to the daily to-do list or enter in your calendar. So connect with services. So, most of you are in your first semester, don't realize that there's a bunch of services that ASA College offers. So after you finish this course, you never have to feel like you're alone or unsupported. A whole catalog of student services awaits you. Any of them can help you succeed in school, and many of them are free. So name a problem that you might be facing right now. You might be facing financial problems, the need for childcare, conflict with a teacher, or anything else that seems to like an obstacle of getting your degree. Chances are that the school service can help you solve that problem, and ASA does have those services that help you solve any type of those problems. So the first thing you want to start off with is academic advisement. You've already been encouraged to visit with your academic advisor. If you want to graduate on time, then be sure to stay in contact with that person until you graduate. Your academic advisor is there to help you adapt to the culture of higher education. Choose a major and select the courses needed to complete your degree. So ASA has an academic advisors ready for you guys. All you guys need to do is contact them. Being that we're in remote learning, is email them, and I know that the advisors get back to the students quickly, and they can advise you as to what you need to do to meet your goals and to graduate on time. So schedule a meeting with your advisor early during your first term. Then meet with this person at least once per term as long as you're in school. Prepare carefully for each meeting by writing down your questions and listing courses you're interested in taking. So following our examples are the student services that your college may offer. So we may not offer all of these, but ASA does offer many of them, such as tutoring, there's financial aid, there's career planning services. Right now there's a counseling service that I think it's called Web Direct that you guys are gonna have access to next semester. So there's a bunch of stuff that ASA offers as far as services that can help you along the way through your college career. So connect with people. School can be a frightening place for new students, older students, people from different backgrounds and cultures, commuter students, and people with disabilities can feel excluded. Some people attend classes for months and still they're standing on the outside looking in. So this section just basically saying that connect with your friends in school, connect with your professors because they're people as well, and just connect with the whole community, the culture, if you will, of ASA College. That is just going to help you along the way. So like the path with lots of rewards. So one key to persistence is filling the long road to graduation with lots of small wins. There are rewards that these are rewards that you enjoy on a regular basis, even on days when money is tight, the kids are crabby, or a schedule crammed with work and classes leaves you feeling exhausted. So according to Teresa Amabile and Stephen Kramer, authors of The Progress Principle, using small wins to ignite joy, engagement, and creativity at work, The single most important source of motivation is making daily progress on meaningful work. This idea applies to students. Keep a record of your academic success, no matter how small. Take 1 minute each day to notice something that you've done as well, or that you've done well. A perfect score on a pop quiz, a well written essay, a presentation where you connect with your audience, or anything else that you feel good about. Whenever you successfully complete a task that brings you closer to graduation, pause to reflect on it and remember it. Also tell someone, a family member or friend, about it. Accept compliments from others and from yourself. Notice that this suggestion differs from the typical problem solving approach, where you look for something that's wrong and you find ways to fix it. To apply the progress principle, you look for something that's right and find ways to celebrate it. So another example, we can use the work example for this. I know many people that they have work, they have a job, a career, their full-time job, and the way they celebrate, small wins, let's say from their paycheck, is that whenever they get paid, they either maybe treat themselves to going out to dinner, or treat themselves with buying them something at the mall, or these are like ways to keep you motivated and to celebrate, the progress or the good work that you're doing. So find the time and the money. Make careful choices about balancing school with work. If you're a full time student, think of this commitment as on par with a 40-hour-a-week job. If you study 2 hours for every hour that you spend in class, you might even spend more than 40 hours per week in school. This places obvious limits on the numbers of per week that you can work. Also, create a complete plan for funding your education. Get to know the staff of your school's financial aid office. Meet with them regularly to discuss work-study programs, grants, loans, scholarships, and other financial resources. Make sure that you know how you're going to fund each term from now until the day you graduate. So, a perfect example with this whole 40-hour-a-week situation. So, the rule is for every credit that you have in a course, so you have to tack on 2 hours of study time or homework time for that class. So typically, most classes are 3 credits. So that means for each class, apart from the 3 hours that you spend on that class, there's 6 hours a week of work that you should be doing for that class to successfully pass it. So that means for each class, you need to dedicate 9 hours a week. So if you're taking 4 classes, right? And and they're all 3 credit courses, then you multiply 9 times 4, and that means there's 36 hours that you need to work for school and give time for school to successfully pass all your classes. So imagine if you're taking 5 or 6 classes. Now we're talking about well over 40 hours a week that you need to concentrate on school. So that's why keep in mind that if you do work and you do go to school, make sure that you have enough time in the week to complete everything that you need to complete. So revisit your strategies. That's kind of self-explanatory. I'll have you guys go over that on your own. But it's always good to revisit the things that you're doing because you could be making better, making better strategies. You can learn upon them. You can grow upon them. Don't always stick to the same strategies because that may not work out. So transferring to a new school. Let me see if I want to go to the PowerPoint for this. Yes. So let's go to the PowerPoint here. So transferring to a new school. So the first thing you should do is know key terms: articulation agreements, Associate of Arts, Associate of Science, course equivalents, and prerequisites. So it's good that you know all these terms. So for example, prerequisites are classes that are mandatory to take before you take another class. So for example, you can't take English 2 before you take English 1. English 1 is the prerequisite for taking English 2. The next thing it tells you is to gather information. So you want to know the location of the school. You want to know the number of students that are in the school. You also should know the class sizes and also the percentage of full-time faculty members, etc. So the next would be choose your new school. And finally, succeed at your new school. Be willing to begin again, connect with people, and check your credits. Be on top of your credits. I know that some people have transferred to ASA, and I know because they've expressed to me that they're taking classes that they already took in their other school. This is where you need to be on top of your credits. And so when you're put in a class that you already took, you can call advisement and say, I took this class at my other school. And they will check to see if it's the same exact class. And then they will give you credit for the class, and you may not have to take it. So start to create your career. So you already know a lot. Career is a choice, not a discovery. You have a world of choices. Um, you can describe your ideal lifestyle. Consider self-employment. Test your choice and be willing to change it. And remember your purpose. So these are just things just to think about when you're deciding your career. So for example, describe your ideal lifestyle. If your ideal lifestyle is to have some sort of, mansion with an Olympic-sized pool, and you want to have 4 cars, and you want this extravagant lifestyle, then, maybe being a teacher, a high school teacher, is not the ideal career choice because you're not going to fulfill that ideal lifestyle that you need. you know so you should always consider self-employment. That's another thing that it says here. Maybe you can create a job for yourself and a business for yourself before you can have to start working for somebody else. Again, and career is a choice, not a discovery. It's not like you fall into this career. I mean, I know that you may have heard stories where, I just fell into this career and it worked out, and that may work for some people. But at the end of the day, career is a choice, and you're not limited in that choice. You can go into and research different careers, see what it is that you can fall under. Like if you're studying, for example, in the medical career, there's a few things that fall under that. Do I want to be a radiologist or do I want to be a doctor? Do I want to be a nurse or do I want to work in administration in a hospital? I mean, these are all little things that you need to think about. So another option is don't plan your career. You can choose your direction rather than your destination. Ask yourself these questions. Do you want to work primarily with people, ideas, specific products, or materials? Do you want to manage people or answer only to yourself and a handful of clients? What's the one thing that you do best or enjoy doing that creates value for people? So take one new step in that direction, reflect on what you learned, and choose your next step. So you may not know what you want to do. You may not exactly know what career you want, but these are some questions that you can ask yourself that can lead you to a career choice. So start creating your resume. So build from a skills perspective. So remember, there's just transferable skills and actual work skills. So build skills for your ideal resume. Remember the reason for it. So remember the reason for the job that you're applying for. And then use this resume checklist. Focus on what you can do for an employer. Highlight your accomplishments. Keep it short. Cut the fluff. And get feedback from other people before you send it out. And cut the fluff means that, it shouldn't be more than one page. If it's more than one page, it's already too much information. Try to be concise in the information. Highlight what you need to highlight for the specific job. And keep it moving. So discover the hidden job market. First, it says think like an employer. Would you hire me? Who would you hire, or who would you hire? Discover your network. So make a list of your contacts. Contact people in your network. Email or call to ask for an information interview. Expand your network. Tap on the power of the internet. So, you hear things like saying it's who you know when you get a job, and that is kind of almost true. For the most part, statistically, people find jobs with help from people within 2 degrees of separation. So meaning that maybe a friend's friend helped you find a job, or maybe your brother's co-worker knew somebody of a job hiring. But for the most part, it's usually 2 degrees of separation in the sense of people that help others find jobs. So tap into the people that you know, create a big network. The more people that you have around you, professional wise, in that sense, the better luck that you're gonna have in finding the job that you want. Of course, people get jobs on their own all the time. That is, but at the same time, it is worth noting that a lot of people get jobs from people that they know within 2 degrees of separation.